The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC was established in 2003. The act establishing the commission gives it powers to arrest, investigate and prosecute all forms of economic crimes and corruption in Nigeria. Good evening and welcome to the program, The Eagle. My name is Aisha Gambari. Also on the program is Aisha Muhammad. Hello.
Hi Aisha. Good evening viewers and thanks for joining us on the program.
EFCC will get you anywhere, anytime.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC has been commended for its hard work and professionalism. This commendation was given when the Commission presented its 2015 budget before the Senate Committee on Drugs, Narcotics, Financial Crimes and Anti-Corruption.
The promise by the EFCC chairman Ibrahim Lamurde to achieve 150 convictions this year might not be a fluke after all, as convictions are already pouring for the agency. Among the convicts is a former deputy comptroller in charge of Ogwashi Uku prison in Delta State, DCP Diete Wure Wisdom.
The Supreme Court of Nigeria has set aside an order of the Court of Appeal, Abuja Division, which allowed the removal from the records of court a confessional statement of a personal assistant to the former Minister of Aviation, Professor Babalola Borishade, in a case of over 6 billion naira fraud.
Just as the Lagos State Division of the Court of Appeal has upheld the 5 billion naira corruption charges brought against Dr. Erastus Akimbola, former managing director of defunct Intercontinental Bank PLC, by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC. Please stay tuned. The program continues right after the break.
Cheers! Cheers! What is it?
Please, keep to yourself. Chief Urabo, I got a telephone call.
Anytime I close my eyes,
yes,
I see dead people chasing me in my sleep.
My Jova Magadam.
Chief, is it possible for someone to become restless just because of his past?
Nevertheless, unless you kill somebody dead, then the spirit will be haunted you.
Hey!
Was you all contractors?
I embezzled all the money for the roads that are now death traps, killing people every day. I approved the supplies of fake drugs on pipe and water. I embezzled the money. I dey fear, Chief.
You are supposed to fear, especially now that the people of EFCC are chasing people who are doing to submit other people's money. EFCC, as soon as they capture them, straight to prison.
Chief,
Jail.
Ah!
How you are? Life are not just about acquire wealth, making money. When other people are getting die of hunger and neglect, be careful. EFCC I watch.
EFCC will get you anywhere, anytime.
Chairman of the Senate Committee on Drugs, Narcotics, Financial Crimes and Anti-Corruption, Senator Victor Lar, has commended the efforts of the EFCC in projecting the image of Nigeria through the fight against economic and financial crimes. Lar made the commendation during the 2015 EFCC budget defense. Kamilu Gabi completes the report.
Senator Lar, who recalled that the picture was bleak 4 years ago when the 7th National Assembly was inaugurated, with Nigeria listed among the 5 most corrupt nations in the world, enumerated the milestones recorded in the fight against corruption since 2011.
Gentlemen of the press, let me shock you by boldly asserting and declaring that contrary to the general impression being held in certain quarters, the Goodluck Jonathan administration has fought corruption more than any other administration. Under the administration, the various agencies have secured more convictions against corrupt officials and economic saboteurs.
He expressed delight over the 126 convictions recorded by the EFCC in 2014, which he said was a significant improvement on the 87 and 117 recorded in 2012 and 2013, respectively. Senator Lauds said that contrary to insinuations in some quarters that the war against graft has been compromised under Goodluck Jonathan's administration, the present administration has fought corruption more than any other administration in this country. The lawmaker reiterated the determination of the Senate to amend the enabling laws of the anti-corruption agencies to put them on first-line charge. The EFCC chairman Ibrahim Lamorde presented a budget of 9,589,748,795 naira to the committee. Lamorde gave the breakdown of the proposed budget as follows. Capital expenditure 542,199,776 naira. Personnel cost 7,053,942,866 naira, and overhead cost 1,993,200,000 naira. He pointed out that the EFCC proposal of 9,589,748,795 naira as against 9,479,795 naira approved by the Budget Office leaves a gap of 110 million naira, which could affect the operations of the agency. Also, the 2015 budget proposal of the agency is a marked decline from the 12,245,369,169 naira, which was appropriated for it in 2014. Other members of the committee who witnessed the budget defense of the EFCC were the Vice Chair of the committee, Senator Ayola Agbola, Senator Mohammed Sani Saleh, Senator Abubakar Sadiq Eradua, and Senator Kunle Boluaji.
Welcome back. And still talking about the performance of the Commission, rains of conviction have started pouring in for the EFCC as the Commission recently recorded its first 3 convictions in 2015. Amongst the convict is the former Deputy Comptroller in charge of Ogwashi Oku Prison in Delta State, DCP Date Wure Wisdom, and the Senior Inspector of Prison, Ayamede Peter. They were sentenced to 3 years imprisonment for stealing over 27,000 liters of automotive gas oil stored in exhibit trucks. The report.
One of the convicts, Monde Aga, was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment by Justice A. Onyetanu of the Federal High Court, Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. He was arraigned on July 20, 2013 for fraudulently opening several accounts in different banks using fictitious names with which he conspired with one Moses to defraud some unsuspecting victims. After diligent prosecution, Justice Onyetanu convicted the accused on 6 of the 8-count charge preferred against him and sentenced him accordingly. The convict was also ordered to pay the sum of 2,730,000 naira in restitution to the complainant. It will be recalled that the convict had previously been convicted by a Federal High Court Enugu and sentenced to 7 years in prison for defrauding a university don of 800,000 naira. Also convicted is an internet fraudster, Philip Agbodobiri, who was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment by Justice P.I. Ajoku of the Federal High Court sitting in Benin, Edo State. Agbodobiri was convicted and sentenced without an option of fine. The convict was charged by the Commission for Internet Scam, having been caught in possession of a laptop containing scam emails. In a related development, Justice C.O. Ogisi of Delta State High Court in Sapele has also convicted and sentenced a former Deputy Controller of Prisons in charge of Ogwashi Uku Prison in Delta State, DCP Deite Wure Wisdom, and a Senior Inspector of Prison, Ayamede Peter, to 3 years imprisonment for stealing 27,000 liters of automotive gas oil stored in exhibit trucks left in the custody of the prison. They were prosecuted on a 4-count charge by the EFCC on the strength of evidence that the duo conspired to sell the products in 3 exhibit trucks. The petitioner had allegedly said that after the sale of the products, the drums and the tankers were refilled with water on the directives of DCP Deite. The judge found them guilty and sentenced them accordingly. One Felix Maduegbuna and Stephen Fagroga, who were former chairman and secretary, respectively, of One Ogba Multipurpose Cooperative Society Limited in Boko, Benue State, were also found guilty of a 2-count charge bordering on conspiracy and criminal breach of trust. The Ministry of Mines and Steel Development was said to have awarded the above cooperative society the sum of over 4 million naira for procurement of specified equipment. The duo, however, breached the agreement and diverted the money. Justice Ademola Adeni of the Federal Capital Territory High Court Apo Abuja found the accused guilty of the charge brought against them and sentenced them to 3 months imprisonment each on count 1, with an option of fine in the sum of 1,250,000 naira. He also found them guilty of count 2 and sentenced them to 2 years imprisonment with an option of fine in the sum of 1,250,000 naira. The sentences are to run consecutively.
For me to buy correct motor, for me to take make my dough, Maga don't need pay. Maga don't need pay.
Reminiscing as I walk to my car, thinking about how we used to be. For Ekoma, I did ride Okada, and most times I did so carry. I wanted to change the way I live, but I didn't have to do those things. Now I'm rolling VIP, and all the girls wanna be like me. Yeah. You ask me how I feel in my reality. Gotta tell you truly, it ain't easy now. I feel the pressure to find something wrong to do. Then I remember you reap what you sow. Now I'm sitting staring at the screen of my computer, thinking really hard about what truly matters. What's with all this data? Just to catch a maga. He could have been my father or someone else's brother.
For me to buy correct motor, for me to take make my dough, Maga don't need pay.
Thank you for staying tuned. In order to bring fraudulent mortgage operators and other scammers to book, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Consumer Protection Council. Chairman of the EFCC, Ibrahim Lamurde, and the Director General of the CPC, Mrs. Dukbe Atoki, signed the MOU at the EFCC headquarters in Abuja. Rahima Gambo has more.
The MOU signing ceremony was witnessed by the Director Legal and Prosecution EFCC, Mr. Chile Okoroma, and the Director Legal Services CPC, Emmanuel Ataguba. Both agencies decided to go into the agreement in order to check the unscrupulous activities of mortgage providers and other scammers who disguise their nefarious acts in order to scam unsuspecting consumers. Executive Chairman of the EFCC, Mr. Ibrahim Lamurde, said it's important that the EFCC partners with the CPC, particularly in areas of intelligence sharing, investigation, prosecution, and engaging in campaigns to educate consumers. He urged the CPC to cooperate with the EFCC in investigating and prosecuting financial crimes and consumer abuse.
This is a very memorable occasion for me that we are here this morning to sign this MOU with the CPC, Consumer Protection Council of Nigeria. We have been collaborating for quite some time. We have been working together on some few cases, trying to see how we can help protect consumers. Like she rightly said, the DG said when she was speaking, each and every one of us sitting here today is a consumer. And I think for what the CPC is doing, it is the interest of each and every one of us here and our citizens that are not here at the larger society. All of us also must have been victims, one way or the other, of the malpractices that go on in some of these industries that provide goods and services for us in this country. The sad aspect of it is most of us keep quiet.
He also commended the efforts of the Director General of CPC, adding that it was her dedication to work that got her awarded U.S. citizenship by the state of Georgia. Reacting, Dupe Atoke noted that the MOU between the two agencies will ensure that consumers and victims will receive appropriate redress, restitution and compensation in the competent court of law. Atoki stressed the need for joint investigation and enforcement cooperation between the two agencies of government, particularly on matters affecting consumers' economic and financial well-being.
we're all here, we're all consumers of either goods or services at some point in time. Some of you may have exercised your right as a consumer this morning, and we know the situation of consumers in Nigeria. We are not king, and we should be king, because we have the resources to make businesses thrive. Without your patronage, there is no profit, there is no business really. And therefore, we should always get value for money wherever we put our money in. But we do know that there are certain circumstances where established and regulated business do business, but sidetrack the consumers, give less value or no value at all. But there are also circumstances where people who have no reason to be in business, who are fraudsters, also engage in one form of business or the other with the sole aim of defrauding the consumers.
She further disclosed that the two agencies signed a tripartite MOU with the United States Federal Trade Commission, which is aimed at enforcing the law in cross-border cases. She thanked the Commission for accepting to partner with the Council in strengthening consumer protection and consumer education. The collaboration is aimed at protecting consumers and combating scams using a three-pronged approach, namely, complaint data analysis to establish patterns, trends and hotspots, consumer education and sensitization campaigns across the country, and case investigations, prosecution and redress. Rahima Gambo reporting for The Eagle.
The Lagos Division of the Court of Appeal has upheld the 5 billion naira corruption charges brought against Dr. Erastus Akimbola, former managing director of defunct Intercontinental Bank PLC, by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC. Kamala Gaby again has more on this.
The 5 billion naira corruption charges brought against Erastus Akimbola, former managing director of defunct Intercontinental Bank PLC, by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC, has been upheld by the Lagos Division of the Court of Appeal. Prior to the last Friday ruling by the Appeal Court in Lagos, Justice Charles Achibong of a Federal High Court sitting in Lagos had on April 2, 2012, dismissed charge number FHC/L/443C/2013 filed by the EFCC against Akimbola for what he described as lack of diligent prosecution. Against this backdrop, the EFCC approached the Appellate Court, urging it to dismiss the judgment of Justice Achibong, who has since been retired from the bench by the National Judicial Council (NJC) for gross misconduct. After listening to the submissions by both parties in the case, the Appeal Court, in its lead judgment delivered by Justice Ergatan Impar on behalf of Justice Amina Augi, the presiding judge, held that the judgment of the trial court was a nullity, and also directed that the case be returned to the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Ibrahim Auta, to reassign it to another judge for a trial on merit and speedy hearing. Godwin Obla, SAN, is one of the prosecuting counsels handling the Akimbola case.
Without sounding aggressive, I think that was the expected outcome. If you recall, what happened in the lower court was not a trial. There was an exchange between counsel and the judge, and the judge, in an unsolicited manner, decided to discharge the accused person. No application was made for that discharge. None of the counsel for both the state and the accused person was ever even heard on the issue before the judge decided to exercise his powers to discharge the accused person. And the state decided to appeal on the grounds that its right to fair hearing, as far as that issue was concerned, had been infringed upon. And the Court of Appeal upheld the position of the state.
Is the prosecution still fully prepared for the continuation of trial?
I think lawyers are like scouts, and the motto is be prepared. We're always prepared. I mean, that's what we do on a daily basis. Our job is to go to court and to deal with issues. And all that has happened has been a setback as far as we're concerned, a needless setback that has delayed the prosecution of this matter. But the evidence is intact, the witnesses are intact, the prosecution team is also intact. And as soon as we get a hearing date from the court, the entire process will be activated. And I'm sure that with the new fast-track practice directions, we should be able to deal with this matter as expeditiously as possible.
In a related development, the Supreme Court of Nigeria on February 23, 2015, set aside the order of the Court of Appeal Abuja Division, which allowed the removal from the records of court a confessional statement of the personal assistant to the former Minister of Aviation, Professor Babalola Borishade, in a case of over 6 billion naira fraud. The report.
Borishade is being prosecuted alongside Roland Iyayi and George Ida, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Alcatel Communications Limited, by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC on a 15-count amended charge bordering on conspiracy, forgery and abuse of office. The accused persons allegedly took bribes and forged documents relating to 6 billion naira aviation contract scam during Borishade's tenure as Aviation Minister. Sequel to their arraignment sometimes in 2009, trial commenced at the FCT High Court Abuja, presided over by Justice Abubakar Sadiq Omar. The trial went on with no procedural hitches when the first 9 witnesses testified. However, the prosecution's attempt through its counsel Sebastian T. Horn to prove its case by tendering a document containing a confessional statement dated July 25, 2008, volunteered by 1TA Dairo, personal assistant to the former minister, through its 10th prosecution witness, one Ruben Omosibo, was resisted by counsel to all the accused persons led by Adeboyega Awomolo, SAN. The defense objection to the admissibility of the document was predicated on the ground of involuntariness of the said statement. In the circumstances, the trial court on June 9, 2010 ordered a trial within trial to determine the voluntariness and admissibility of the said statement. At the end of the mini-trial, the trial court presided over by Justice Omar on March 1, 2011, ruled that the statement in contention was made voluntary and accordingly admitted same as Exhibit AX. Dissatisfied by the ruling of the trial court, the accused, through their counsel, lodged an appeal at the Abuja Division of the Court of Appeal. The appellate court, in its judgment dated April 25, 2012, allowed the appeal and consequently expunged the said Exhibit AX from the records. Aggrieved by the appellate court's ruling, the prosecution, EFCC, proceeded to the Supreme Court, asking it to set aside the decision of the appellate court. In its judgment on Monday, February 23, 2015, the Supreme Court upheld the appeal of the EFCC and ordered the restoration of the expunged Exhibit AX in the records. Delivering the judgment, Justice Santos Onweze, on behalf of 4 other justices, stated, and I quote, that we hold that the lower court was in error when it expunged Exhibit AX from the records. We hereby vacate the said order of the lower court expunging Exhibit AX. In its place, we order the reinstatement or restoration of the said exhibit as part of the record. End of quote. The Apex Court also ordered the expeditious trial of the ex-minister and other accused persons at the High Court. Aisha, these are indications that the Commission's effort towards fighting all forms of economic crimes and corruption is waxing stronger and stronger every day.
Yes, there you're very right. Like if you notice the bar of convictions, it's rising every year.
Yeah.
In 2012, we had 87 convictions. By 2013, it went up. We have 117.
Exactly.
By 2014, we have 126 convictions.
Exactly. Yeah.
The Commission is willing to do more. Yeah. All we ask for is support from the public so that we can bring more corrupt offenders to book. Yeah. And on that note, we draw the curtains on today's edition of the program. To be part of this program, please send your contributions to info@efccnigeria.org or search for us on Google Plus at Official EFCC or officialecfcc@gmail.com.
You can also like our page on facebook.com/Official EFCC or follow us on Twitter at Official EFCC. And to watch our programs and other activities, please log on to youtube.com/Official EFCC. My name is Aisha Mohammed. Please stay away from all forms of economic crimes and corruption.
And I'm Aisha Gambari. Thank you so much for watching. God bless Nigeria.
Goodbye.